the complete history of New York City, from a small trading post to the most influential city in America. Imagine standing on the shores of Manhattan more than 400 years ago. There are no skyscrapers, no bridges, no traffic, and no bright lights illuminating the night sky. Instead, dense forests stretch across the landscape, rivers teem with fish, and wildlife roams freely. The only inhabitants are Native American peoples who have lived in the region for thousands of years. Long before Europeans arrived, the area that would become New York City was home to the Lenape people. They hunted, fished, traded, and built communities throughout the region. The rivers served as transportation routes, while the forests provided food and resources. For generations, the Lenape thrived in harmony with the environment. Everything changed in the early 17th century. European powers were exploring the world in search of wealth, resources, and new trade opportunities. In 1609, an English explorer named Henry Hudson sailed into the harbor while working for the Dutch East India Company. Although Hudson was searching for a route to Asia, he instead discovered a region rich in natural resources and commercial potential. His reports attracted Dutch merchants and settlers almost immediately. The Dutch established trading posts throughout the area, focusing primarily on the profitable fur trade. Beaver pelts were highly valuable in Europe, where they were used to make fashionable hats. The demand for fur generated significant wealth and encouraged further settlement. In 1624, the Dutch founded the colony of New Netherland. At the southern tip of Manhattan Island, they established a settlement called New Amsterdam. At first, New Amsterdam was little more than a frontier outpost. The population was small, the buildings were simple, and life was difficult. Yet the settlement possessed one extraordinary advantage: location. Its deep natural harbor allowed large ships to enter safely. The Hudson River connected the settlement to the interior of North America. Trade routes linked New Amsterdam to Europe, the Caribbean, and other colonies. These advantages would eventually make New York one of the greatest cities in history. One of the most famous stories associated with New Amsterdam involves the purchase of Manhattan Island. According to legend, Dutch settlers acquired the island from Native Americans for goods worth approximately $24. While historians continue to debate the details, the story became one of the most famous real estate transactions ever recorded. During the following decades, New Amsterdam expanded steadily. Merchants arrived from various countries, craftsmen established businesses, farmers cultivated nearby lands, ships carried valuable cargo through the harbor. Unlike many settlements of the period, New Amsterdam became known for its diversity. People of different backgrounds, languages, and religions settled there. This multicultural identity would remain one of New York's defining characteristics for centuries. In 1664, everything changed again. English warships arrived in the harbor and demanded control of the colony. The Dutch, recognizing they could not successfully defend the settlement, surrendered peacefully. The English renamed the colony New York in honor of the Duke of York. Under English rule, New York continued growing rapidly. Trade expanded. The harbor became busier. New businesses emerged. By the early 18th century, New York had become one of Britain's most important American colonies. Merchants grew wealthy through international commerce. Ships connected the city to Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, and other parts of North America. New York was becoming a gateway between continents. As the population increased, so did the city's importance. Then came revolution. By the 1770s, tensions between Britain and its American colonies had reached a breaking point. Political disagreements, taxation disputes, and growing demands for independence led to conflict. When the American Revolution began, New York became one of the war's most important battlegrounds. British forces captured the city in 1776 and controlled it for much of the conflict. Thousands of soldiers, refugees, and civilians crowded its streets. Food shortages, fires, and military activity transformed daily life. When the war finally ended in 1783, American forces regained control. George Washington entered the city in triumph, symbolizing the birth of a new nation. For a brief period, New York even served as the capital of the United States. In 1789, George Washington took the oath of office as America's first president in New York City. The young city stood at the center of the nation's future. As the 19th century began, New York was already an important commercial center. However, one project would transform it beyond anyone's imagination: the Erie Canal. Completed in 1825, the Erie Canal connected the Hudson River to the Great Lakes, creating a transportation route between the Atlantic Ocean and America's interior. Many critics had called the project impossible. They were wrong. The canal dramatically reduced transportation costs and travel times. Farmers gained access to new markets, businesses expanded. Goods flowed into New York Harbor from across the continent. The canal made New York the primary gateway to America's rapidly growing interior. Economic growth exploded. At the same time, another powerful force was reshaping the city: immigration. Throughout the 19th century, millions of people crossed the Atlantic Ocean seeking better lives in America. Many arrived in New York. Irish immigrants fleeing famine, Germans seeking opportunity, Italians escaping poverty, and Eastern Europeans searching for freedom all came through the city's harbor. The population surged, neighborhoods expanded, factories multiplied, construction projects transformed the landscape. Entire communities emerged, each contributing traditions, languages, foods, and cultures that enriched the city. New York became one of the most diverse places on Earth. As the city grew, leaders realized the need for better planning. The famous Manhattan Street Grid organized future development. Central Park was created to provide green space within the increasingly crowded city. Meanwhile, technological innovation accelerated progress. Railroads connected distant regions, steamships increased trade, telegraph lines improved communication. Every advancement strengthened New York's position as America's leading commercial center. The Civil War further increased the city's importance. Its factories supplied goods, its banks financed operations, its port handled enormous amounts of cargo. Following the war, industrial growth accelerated dramatically. By the late 19th century, New York was already America's largest city. Then came one of the greatest waves of immigration in human history. In 1886, the Statue of Liberty was dedicated in New York Harbor. Gifted by France, the monument became a symbol of freedom and opportunity. For millions of immigrants arriving by ship, the statue represented hope. Beginning in 1892, Ellis Island became America's busiest immigration station. Millions passed through its halls. Families arrived carrying dreams of a better future. Many settled in New York itself. Others moved throughout the United States. Together, they helped shape modern America. At the same time, engineers and architects were changing the skyline forever. Land in Manhattan was expensive. The solution was simple: build higher. Advances in steel frame construction and elevator technology made skyscrapers possible. The age of vertical cities had begun. One engineering marvel after another transformed New York. The Brooklyn Bridge, completed in 1883, connected Manhattan and Brooklyn. It was celebrated worldwide as a masterpiece of engineering. As the 20th century began, New York entered a new era. In 1904, the New York City subway opened. The subway revolutionized transportation. Millions could travel quickly beneath the city. Entire neighborhoods became connected. Economic opportunities expanded. Above ground, skyscrapers continued rising. New York became the world's laboratory for architectural ambition. Wall Street also grew increasingly powerful. Banks financed industries. Investors funded innovation. Financial markets connected businesses to capital. New York became America's financial capital. The 1920s brought prosperity, cultural innovation, and excitement. Jazz flourished in Harlem. Broadway entertained millions. Technology transformed daily life. Optimism filled the air. Architects competed to build taller structures. The Chrysler Building briefly became the tallest building in the world. Then came the Empire State Building. Completed in 1931 during the Great Depression, the Empire State Building symbolized determination in difficult times. For decades, it remained the world's tallest building. The Depression challenged New York, but the city endured. Public works projects improved infrastructure, businesses adapted, communities persevered. Then World War II transformed the world. New York's harbor became a critical transportation hub. Factories produced supplies. Financial institutions supported wartime operations. When the war ended, New York emerged stronger than ever. The city soon gained another distinction. It became the home of the United Nations. Diplomats and leaders from around the world began gathering in Manhattan. New York became not only America's leading city, but one of the world's most important international centers. The decades that followed saw continued growth. Television networks expanded, media companies flourished, Broadway thrived, Wall Street became the center of global finance. Then came one of the most ambitious construction projects in history, the World Trade Center. Completed in the early 1970s, the Twin Towers dominated the skyline. They symbolized economic power and international commerce. Despite economic difficulties and rising crime during the 1970s, New York eventually rebounded. The 1980s and 1990s brought revitalization. Wall Street boomed. Tourism increased. Times Square was transformed into a global entertainment destination. The city appeared unstoppable. Then came September 11, 2001. On that morning, terrorists hijacked commercial airplanes and attacked the World Trade Center. The Twin Towers collapsed. Thousands of lives were lost. The tragedy shocked the world, yet New York demonstrated extraordinary resilience. Rescue workers displayed incredible courage. Communities united. The city mourned together, and ultimately, it rebuilt. One World Trade Center rose from the site of the attacks, symbolizing renewal and determination. Today, New York remains one of the most influential cities on Earth. More than 8 million people live within the city itself, while over 20 million reside in the metropolitan area. More than 800 languages are spoken throughout its neighborhoods. Its financial markets influence the global economy. Its theaters shape entertainment. Its media organizations reach audiences worldwide. Its universities educate future leaders. Its museums preserve culture and history. Millions of visitors travel there every year. They walk through Central Park. They admire Times Square. They cross the Brooklyn Bridge. They gaze at the skyline. They experience the energy that has made New York legendary. From a Native American homeland to a Dutch trading post, from a colonial port to America's largest city, from an immigrant gateway to a global capital, the story of New York is a story of ambition, innovation, resilience, and opportunity. For more than 4 centuries, generations of dreamers have arrived seeking a better future. Together, they built one of the most extraordinary cities in human history, and its story is still being written today.